Hey, hey, Brandon,
Yes.
what you doing back there, buddy?
Stick my food through my slot. I'm on my darkness retreat.
Oh, which slot?
Mm.
Oh, baby, we here.
We steer.
You in the right direction extra early on this Wednesday morning. Tom Grossi, Brandon Perna, the Grossi Perna Show, otherwise known as JPS.
The S stands for darkness.
Imprisoning me, all that I see, absolute horror.
Mhm.
I cannot live. Yeah. We got
Aaron Rodgers says he's going to go on a darkness retreat, and it's going to last as long as he can drive Tom Grossi crazy.
It's a short drive. It's a very, very short drive for me at this point. Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. We got some news. Derek Carr meeting with the New Orleans Saints today. So some movement there. Some rumors going around that it would cost a third to get him, which means that Brandon Perna would lose yet another bet to me, which would
We'll see.
We'll see. Dude, I hope it's like a second round pick. So it's like right there. It was so close.
I was thinking about it today. I hope it's a second round pick with an escalator to go to a first round pick.
So we
won't even know for like another season.
We have to wait. Like a year. Just drag it out. It's fine.
I was thinking about that today.
I mean, listen, I would argue it's never too early for Taco Bell, but it depends on your plumbing. That's it.
Yeah.
It depends on that.
The only time you should say no to Taco Bell is when you already have diarrhea.
But then can it get worse?
Yes.
All right.
Well, there are levels to diarrhea. Well, Ian.
Ian with a fitty. Boop for the kitty. Look at this. Love the show so much. Ian and Ian, I appreciate you. On first, let me get you your clip, and then let me answer your question.
Well, it's Ian Eagle, Ian Rappaport. You can be either.
Hey. Ian, what do the Panthers need to do for a Super Bowl? Well, you got your new coach. Steve Wilkes also going to the 49ers there. But honestly, like that defense is a young defense. I think you just now need a franchise quarterback, which is easier said than done. So you need a franchise quarterback. Offensive line can still improve a little bit. It got a little bit better from where it was the season prior. But I would say build those two things up and you should be okay. But like you also need another stud with like DJ Moore, I think.
Yeah, and you got to bring back Dante Foreman.
Also, make sure that every wide receiver you bring in knows that it's not a bear and it's a cat as your mascot. I think that's important too. I think that's important.
Was that Robbie Anderson?
Yeah, it was Robbie Anderson. Ian.
It's
Ian. Way to go.
It can be either.
Sorry, Brendan. You were wrong.
Don't you call me Brendan?
I just did.
You dare.
Well, yeah, we have lots to talk about. So yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Let's get this out of the way first. Let's get this out.
Yes, we'll get to Derek Carr, but first, let's talk about that weird guy, Aaron Rodgers. Dude.
You know what's really funny is like, Perna and I were talking about this like pre-show. It's like I don't care. Like that's cool. Like I have to say, like probably every parent in America would take a 4-day retreat where like they were in darkness and weren't bothered and could sleep for 12 hours a day. Like I bet like that's very appealing. So like there's no hate, there's no like judgment. I don't care because at this point, Aaron Rodgers, he's done ayahuasca. He was on the astrology thing on Monday. Like, dude's just like out there, which is fine. You know, do whatever you want. Who am I to judge? I don't care. But the people who hate Aaron Rodgers are going to hop on this and be like, what? Like I was looking at the Packers subreddit yesterday and they're like, I'm so done. I'm like, this was the line. This was it. This is all the comments that he said in the offseason, all the things he said on McAfee, all the things that he's talked about. But you're like, the fact that he's going to sit in darkness for 4 days, done.
Yeah.
Done.
Do I have valid reason to be hopeful for the Falcons next season?
Yes, Algier looked amazing. Pitt's healthy, yes, and that division's garbage. So
and see what Ritter can do. Well, my thoughts are like, I like that Aaron Rodgers is different and that he's unique. I prefer when guys do things that's not just like every other player or QB in the league, right? To me, I prefer that because it's entertaining. And I prefer people to be unique individuals and to do their own thing. That said, Aaron Rodgers brings it upon himself when he he's on McAfee and he's, instead of saying, I'm just going to go on a vacation, take, 4 or 5 days to really think about it. He specifically says shit like, I'm going on an isolation retreat, knowing none of us know what the hell that means. So he's just sitting there waiting for Pat McAfee, like, what's an isolation retreat? Then he gets into it. And he talks about that knowing people are going to go kind of wild and crazy for it. And then somebody like Mitchell Schwartz calls him out on Twitter. And then Aaron does a thing about, everybody should be loving and respectful and
hey, be curious, not judgmental. That's right from Ted Lasso, baby, season 2.
Yeah. So it's it's funny. I want him to do the weirdest stuff every offseason. And I want it to get weirder and weirder as he continues to decide whether or not he's coming back. And honestly, a darkness retreat, which we learned is just you're in a completely dark house for like 4 days, and they feed you through a slot, according to Rodgers. So it's basically... They're basically turning solitary confinement into something you pay to do, which is brilliant.
That's brilliant. Against the Geneva Convention, you're fine.
They call it the worst torture in the world is being in solitary confinement for extended periods. Not in the spiritual community. That is a chance to find yourself.
See,
Brandon,
but
that's not as weird as what he did last year. The cleanse, the diarrhea cleanse.
Yeah,
like
the ayahuasca. Yeah,
not even ayahuasca. It was
you're talking about
the diarrhea thing he did.
Yeah.
So he's already actually he's doing things that are less strange. I want him to go the opposite way. I want the diarrhea cleanse in pitch black. I want Aaron Rodgers to not know where he's shitting for 4 days, which is actually, somebody brought that up. It's like, how do you find the toilet to pee in if it's
you're probably shown maybe a layout beforehand, like they open the door.
Yeah, I'm sure, but it's still, when it pitch black, that could get confusing.
He might stub his toe again.
Yeah, Panchakarma. Thank you, Panchakarma.
Oh God, I feel like these off seasons have aged me at least 115 years. I forgot about that. I was just like, which one was that?
Yeah.
I just but I agree. He could have just been like, I'm going on vacation, and been like, oh, okay, enjoy, get away. And he's like, no, it's 4 days. Because of course, then McAfee's just like, you gonna bring weed in there? Like, you gonna do ayahuasca? He's just like, well, if you got to call an audible, he's like, the door's unlocked. It's fine. Yeah. So yesterday I made a skit about it, and it wasn't even poking fun at Aaron Rodgers. It was just the amount of people that would be in there with him. So yeah. I just think that at the end of the day, because I can see the appeal of it. 4 days is a long time. But I could see the appeal of it because you're just no stimulation, darkness. It's just you and your thoughts. You sleep a lot and then try to figure out, I get it. It sounds
it for an hour.
It sounds intriguing, but it is. As I said, after a while, you ain't going to be lonely in there anymore. You ain't going to be lonely.
New business. The GPS darkness retreats.
Oh my God, but we're in the room with you.
You've been navigated.
We just give out really bad football takes the entire time.
Yeah. What I find interesting is Aaron Rodgers, to me, seems like somebody who's still searching to find himself.
Sure.
When you're doing this shit, there's something you're trying to figure out about yourself.
Gonna see the hat man.
And to me, once you've made the $100+ million, the search is over. you enjoy your money, and I imagine living life like Billy Madison, basically, in the first part, the opening of that movie, when he's just getting drunk at the pool every day, ordering his nudie magazines, and they're showing up the mail, and you're doing nothing. You have found the answer. That's like, you've won a Super Bowl. You've reached peak. You've hit the peak of your athletic career. You did it. You got all the money. You achieved a singular goal in a profession. He's getting to the point where he's got to figure out how to do something after that. And I think athletes struggle with that.
Yeah.
And he's searching for it now. But I would say you already got the answers, Aaron.
I agree with this, by the way. I think one of us should have to literally go insane for being on clickbait. 4 days.
Darkness retreat for 4 days. I can't do that.
So here, but to that point, because you bring up something really, really interesting. Exactly. Honestly, send in a whole bunch of like different team reps, like send in Josh McDaniels, Robert Saleh, Matt LaFleur, whoever finds Rodgers first, then they get to sign him. Like that's how that should go. 1, 2, I think he talked about this on McAfee, and I was actually really interested in this conversation because McAfee asked a really, really good question. And he said, like, the entire time that I've known you on this show, you've been like this kind of new age Aaron Rodgers, right? Because you weren't always like this. Like it was just different. Like what prompted this shift? And I thought that was a really, really good question. And he got into it. He goes, when I broke my collarbone, in 2017, he's like, I had a lot of time to just like sit at home. And I was like, well, crap, like what am I without football? And I feel like that's to your point. Yeah. You 100% get that if you dedicate your life to something and then that's taken away from you, whether it's short-term, long-term, what have you, there's like, well, that was my purpose, right? Like that was my entire thing. I am known for playing football. That's been my entire life. That's been my everything. What am I if I don't have that thing? Like, I think that's a really interesting and like, inner struggle, and like, I shout and praise like Aaron Rodgers trying to figure that out because as you said, like athletes especially like struggle with that because afterwards you're like, well, crap, now what?
Yeah. Especially the guys who have gotten to the top of what they do.
Yeah.
And have done it for as long as players like Rodgers. It's like why Brady's been holding on. You know what I mean? Hey. Sorry. Hey. It was asked for. It's a tough adjustment. And like, why not the Saints? We'll get to it. We'll get to the Saints. But like and I'm not trying to say this in a disrespectful way to Aaron Rodgers. And it's probably more magnified because he's a single man. So like, and he's detached from his family, right? When you retire from those things and you have that to go back to, like that's what you would focus on, right? If I didn't have YouTube, I have my family. I have my wife and my daughter, and there would be a lot of energy spent. Like I already put a lot of energy into that.
Sure.
And so I think like Rodgers' spiritual journey is magnified a little bit because he doesn't have that to at least take part of that question away of like, what am I without this job? Well, I am like a dad to
sure.
I'm a husband to this person. And like, it's something that, we joke about sometimes because like that's all been publicized about him not speaking to his family. And that's
just a different support system, right? It's like friends, former players. Exactly. It's just like, it's different 100% though. Yeah. I mean, I think that there is a definite, like, what is like, who am I afterwards? Right. Like he's talked about.
Exactly. Don't be a single male is what I'm saying. No, I'm just saying it's
oops. Brandon, I got something to tell you.
The only reason you should have a family as an athlete is to ease the blow of not being an athlete anymore when you're done. Only reason. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, I don't. It's fine. Just whenever he makes a decision, I just want to go on vacation. That's all I want. Yeah. I just want to go on a vacation.
Yeah, I mean, it is a weird way to determine whether or not you want to keep playing football. But if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do.
But you know what? It's interesting because I think like he can still play, right? Or you can argue with Brady too. Like Brady can still play.
Yeah.
I don't know like how high the level is going to be, but like I think Brady's still better than a bunch of quarterbacks that are starting next season. At the same time, I think it's like, well, what he said, right? Like it was basically a family decision. Like, okay, now I got to pivot and now I need to like Brady and like pay attention to my family and like, be supportive of them, what have you. So I don't
Yeah.
know, man.
The thing with both Rodgers and Brady this season is they both had injury issues. Brady had a shoulder thing, Rodgers had the thumb and a shoulder thing, right? Or something like, and it's not like they were the most significant injuries, but Brady's been like, he never has injuries. So, and he also like told his dad he was tired of getting hit, which is funny because he almost never gets hit, but like more so than they're a bit like they've defied age in that they can still play at that level. But at that age, I think injuries just they happen more easily and you start to feel that. And that's probably definitely factored into Brady's thinking, and we'll see what Roger says. But
I don't think so at all, Alex. I honestly think this Super Bowl has absolutely zero impact on Aaron Rodgers' decision. I think if Rodgers made the Super Bowl, I'm not even saying winning. I think if he made the Super Bowl one of these past couple of years, he would have retired afterwards. Because he's like kind of been looking for that fairy tale ending. I mean, he said that. He's like, that's what everybody wants. It's just sometimes you don't get it. But yeah, also, Brandon, thanks for cursing me. I appreciate it.
What did I do?
Brian Flores, not interested in the Vikings. What happens? Vikings get Brian Flores.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what did I do? Oh, yeah, I did do that. Yep, I did do that, yes.
Oh, man, that was a curveball. Well, it was Brian Flores going to interview with the Broncos and the Cardinals. And then he took the Vikings DC job. He was like, let me go to the defense that has the least talent. Why would you do that, Brian?
I was so happy when Evero didn't go there. And now Flores, who's a good coach, is going there. I just also love like the Cardinals be like, we'll give you the head coaching job. And he's like, nope, I'll take less money. I'll go to Vikings.
DC in Minnesota.
I'll go there instead. So thanks, Brandon. I appreciate that. Really helps out a lot. And now this just makes it even worse because again, we're sticking with Joe Barry. So no Packers fans are not happy.
JB.
That's not my JB. Hashtag not my JB.
You're JB. JB Smooth.
Gumbo.
Brian?
He doesn't watch the lore. He doesn't watch the lore, guys.
No,
he doesn't
I don't,
watch
guys.
The lore. He does not.
Oh, sorry. I don't got an extra 4 hours every week to dive in.
It's like a 10-minute thing each week.
I don't have an extra 10 minutes every week.
It's arguably around like 24 hours long now. It's fine. All right. Speaking of, let's talk about Derek Carr.
Yeah. Derek Carr is visiting the New Orleans Saints today.
Which is where JB is.
Oh, JB's gumbo.
Get the gumbo. Because gumbo is for winners.
Does JB want Derek Carr?
Depends on the price.
Now I'm asking questions of the characters. We're doing it.
Depends on the price. Which, by the way, folks, in case you didn't tune in on Monday, which shame on you, but if you didn't tune in on Monday, Brandon and I made a bet that Derek Carr would not fetch a first-round pick in a trade for him. And I said he wouldn't, and Brandon said that he would. Right now, rumors are floating around that'd be a third-round pick. So
yeah, that sounds like a rumor the Saints put out there. This is going to come down to whether or not another team is interested in Derek Carr. Because if it's just the Saints, you're going to win this stupid bet, Tom. You're going to win it. Because the Raiders do not have the leverage in the situation. So, yes, those things will work against them. But if Derek Carr visits another team after this, then maybe he can still get a first rounder. And I really hope it's the Saints because the story of that draft pick is insane. And I want to do a video about it. But if it is just the Saints, it's probably going to be a third or second. I think a third is too low. I think it'll be at least a second. And that's based on like Carson Wentz got 2 third-rounders. Didn't Matt Ryan get a second rounder? I know there's money, but Carr can restructure money. And Carr is better than Wentz, and he is better than the version of Matt Ryan that the Colts got. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm on track to lose yet another bet with Tom. Ooh, and all that's in jeopardy is my body.
So the thing is, too, if he goes to the Saints, that has zero impact on Aaron Rodgers, too, right? Because it's like, okay, the 2 teams that he's rumored to, which, by the way, that was the big thing yesterday. I'm not happy about it, Movie Bike, because I think it's a really great move. I'm not happy about it. I'm upset.
You should be rooting for Derek Carr to net a first rounder, by the way.
No.
Why?
I know, because then you're saying it's going to drive Rodgers' value up, but I think it's too
well, yeah, but like if the Raiders get a first rounder for Rodgers, they got to send that right back to Green Bay.
No, I'd rather you lose.
Right back to Green Bay.
I'd rather you lose.
Fucking son of a bitch.
That's fine. Okay. Yep. I'll cut my nose off to spite my face. It's fine. That's fine. I mean, again, because if he goes there, I don't know. I don't start following until after the Super Bowl. Draft someone good. Got him.
Drafted the good guy.
Yeah, I'd honestly work on the defense. But in terms of Aaron Rodgers, the betting odds, if you follow that, like massively shifted and went over to the Raiders yesterday. Like that was the big story on Packers Twitter, if you were following betting lines. And then, of course, Rodgers had to say something. He's like, oh, Vegas is usually right about these things. And I'm just like, oh my God. Because the thing is, like McAfee straight up asked me, he's like, wait, you're still like, you don't know if you want to play? He goes, yeah, I don't know if I want to play. He legitimately doesn't know if he wants to retire or not. And I agree. Like I completely believe him. I completely believe he has no idea.
The sportsbook's just going to make the money on the speculation. It's good for that. Like
the Chargers would never do that. They would never do that.
The Packers are his worst odds. The Jets have the second best, right? And now the Raiders negative 450. So minus 450. And it's all just based on the same shit we see on the internet.
Exactly.
That's what's hilarious.
There's nothing else. So, like, if you think that Aaron Rodgers is coming back to the Packers, you're about to make some money.
Yeah, because they don't have any inside info. Rodgers didn't call up Las Vegas and say, look, guys, I'm going to keep saying I haven't made a decision yet, but I'm going to let the Packers trade me. Click. Dude doesn't know what he wants to do, but we're gonna wager on it. I think once he's in darkness, day two of his darkness retreat is when he'll know.
I think you know what? I think it's like 2.5 going into 3. Can we put betting odds on that?
How long he actually stays in the darkness retreat?
Yeah.
Ooh. You should be able to.
I would say we could use DraftKings Sportsbook, but they're not sponsoring us today. So
yeah, that was Monday. But you still could use code GPS.
You could use but that's not like an official plug because
not official. No.
Okay.
So all right, Derek Carr to the Saints. I do want to break this down real quick because there's stuff here. Okay. Sure. So he's visiting with the Saints today. He might visit with more teams. We don't really know because we don't know who's actually interested, but supposedly a couple other teams would want to see him. If he goes to Saints, he'll be reuniting with Dennis Allen. So I love when guys reunite. And the rumor, like you just said, Saints would be willing to give up a third to get him. Again, don't know where that rumor's coming from. The issue with the Saints, everybody knows, is their cap situation, right, Tom?
Dude,
they've got what? They're 59 million over the cap, 55 million, somewhere in there.
But they've been like this too, because like with Breeze, like I remember they had to wait for like post June 1st. And like, this is unfortunately what happens when you kick the can down the road. Like they're going to have to make some cap moves over and over again because like year after year, they just keep pushing it down and pushing it down and pushing it down. And eventually like they're going to have to pay this stuff, but
yeah. So they can free up 93 million in cap space per Jason at over the cap. That's not 93 million above cap. that wipes out the 60 million they're over and then creates about 33 to 35 million, which is roughly what Derek Carr would take up in cap right now. I'm assuming wherever he goes, they will restructure his deal to free up that space, or at least for this season. The Saints will definitely free up space this season. And then next year, Derek Carr's cap hit would be like probably 100 million for the Saints. But here's where it gets a little tricky, because in order to do that, what they have to do is max out everyone making at least $2 million. So they have to max out everybody's contract. I don't even know exactly what that means, but they're in a little bit of a tough spot because they're in the fourth worst position to create cap space by cutting players. So, like, usually there's a guy or two a team can cut that's going to free up a big chunk of space. Everybody knows they're going to cut those guys. Saints, fourth worst spot. I believe the Colts are in the worst spot in terms of if they cut players to free up space. Usually there's dead cap hits that are associated with those cuts. So if there's a season where this is going to take the most finagling, we're right there. Yeah, Mickey Loomis, we know he'll free it up, but it ain't going to be easy. Which begs the question. This is all to bring up the point. Why would Derek Carr want to go to the Saints, knowing they got to do all this stuff outside of it being in a crap division? Like, his job will get easier by the division possibly being as bad as it was. Like, what weapons is he going to have? Alvin Kamara is probably going to be suspended like 10 games. Michael Thomas possibly out. The defense has been very good, but are they going to lose key players? Are they going to stay dominant? Like, sure. I don't know why it's super appealing to go there right now.
I mean, Chris Olave is pretty damn good, but
yeah, Chris Olave, nice.
If Michael Thomas could actually get healthy and you have Olave and Thomas, like, that's great. And like, again, if Kamara comes back this season too, like, you have a staple there that you can definitely win with. It's just
maybe he's starting to get old by that time.
There's gonna be bumps and bruises though.
The player I like is Rashid Shaheed for the Saints.
Oh, Shaheed, yeah, Shaheed's good.
Oh my god, he just has it's the most fun name to say, and I feel like every time it was like he made like one big play a game. It's like, oh dang, that dude's got something. But
that was like, but Olave, like, I remember watching them early on, and I streamed a bunch of Saints games, and they like lost all of them when I was watching. But he was their deep guy, Olave. Like, he was just constantly, like, they tried to push it. They just needed a better quarterback. And Olave had like a couple drops in the beginning, but like, he had a really good season. Yeah. So, I mean, like, they have a young receiving core that like can elevate that team. Kamara, you are right, is getting older. We'll see what the suspension looks like this season. But if you put Derek Carr on that, it's what we talked about on Monday. You put Derek Carr on that team, I think they can make the playoffs. They can win their division, because that division is not going to be great, and I think it's going to kind of be a toss up to who's going to win it. So can they win a Super Bowl with it? I don't know. But
yeah, the Saints to me are similar to the Jets, except for I think the Saints, if healthy, have a better offensive line. But the problem with the Saints is there's just so many question marks around what their roster is going to look like. And the Jets, you kind of know, and their big issue is offensive line. Like, if I'm Derek Carr, I'm trying to get to the Jets over the Saints, at least right now.
Well, the Jets also had offensive line injuries last year too. Like, Tucker was out. So yeah. I mean, they can get better. But yeah, I mean, I do think still that they could go. So it's like complete opposite, right? Because you go, okay, if you go to the Jets or you go to the Saints have a garbage division. The Jets are in one of the craziest divisions right now in football because you have the Bills. The Jets then would be pretty good. The Dolphins, they're a wild card. And the Patriots, they're going to be competitive. So, yeah, it's like, where do you think that you could actually win? But I think Carr fits the Saints better than the Jets. Because again, I think Jimmy G fits the Jets very, very well. And I think, if they want to swing for the fences, they go for Rodgers. But yeah, I don't know. But the cap, it's it's so fun because like the Packers have never been in this situation. Like they never used to do void years. They never used to like, like kick the can down the road. They always like cut players a year early rather than a year too late. Like that was the mantra forever. And now they've completely shifted and like now they have to deal with the cap as well. But this is like again now with the Saints.
Yeah.
They got to do it. But best band of the 90s.
The best band in the 90s? Radiohead and Weezer and Nirvana. Whoa, interesting. I was never a Radiohead guy.
I don't like Radiohead actually. Just not my sound.
I probably listened to Weezer more than the other two. I mean, you would probably throw Nirvana in as a best of the 90s overall, but I'm not sure Radiohead and Weezer would be considered best of the 90s.
Linkin Park.
Did they start in the 90s?
I listened to Linkin. Oh my god, I played it. Didn't Hybrid Theory come out, or is that early 2000s?
Yeah, I would go here.
Oh, it came out on 2000. Damn it.
Metallica. Right. Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah, so we started early. Probably Nirvana would probably win that though.
We had to start early today, and we're probably going to end slightly early.
Yeah, it's all good.
But
it's all good.
I did want to talk about Sean Payton a little bit.
Yeah, buddy, the tweets that you're making about his mics. Oh my god, it was,
dude, and that's been a problem for a while now. Like they just haven't fixed it.
Have had that issue forever. Like their media, like when the guys are asking questions, you can't hear anything they're saying.
It's not that complicated either. It's like
we could set it up. You guys could set it. Like a multi-million-dollar organization could set it up.
But yeah, so the microphone sounded like garbage. Like it wasn't like it wasn't like an audio level thing where you couldn't hear it. It was blown out. So it was an audio level problem on the other side, but it was also distorting. Yeah. So it was just a bad look. But the more interesting things kind of happened after the official press conference. One, Sean Payton picked the Eagles to win the Super Bowl because he said, you never pick anyone in your division to win anything. That got Broncos fans excited. Two, they asked him about Russ's, basically like his trainers and his personal coaches. And he's like, that's foreign to me. That shit ain't going to happen. So any of Russ's special guys won't be around, which kind of leads to Sean Payton is just like, he knows what he wants. And you want that in a head coach, kind of for better or worse. They're going to come in, they're going to do things their way, and the players are either going to buy in or they're not. That's what Denver needed, obviously. But old Terry Bradshaw, who was being asked a ton of questions and giving a bunch of answers. One, he said it would be great for ratings on Fox if he died during a Fox broadcast for the ratings. And I think he was talking about his battle with cancer. So he was on it. He was very good. He also said, because Sean Payton was in studio with him, that Sean Payton did not want the Arizona Cardinals job because of Kyler Murray. And then he said he took the Broncos job in spite of Russell Wilson, and basically said he didn't want either job because of the quarterbacks. Now, I don't know if that's just Terry talking shit, but it's interesting.
But that tracks with what you and I said, because Sean Payton is basically given the keys to the kingdom. He's just reporting to the owner, right? Like that's going to be his like main contact. And it's like, hey, we choose you over Russ, because if Russ doesn't perform, bye. Like that's it. It's done. Like you basically were willing to trade those picks to get Sean Payton because for you, that's your long-term future. Russell Wilson, that's still a question mark if he's part of your short or long-term future, and he has to prove it. So I think like Payton can come in and say whatever the hell he wants. He's like, oh yeah, no, Russ is not going to have this, not going to have this, because he can do that. He has the respect my authority. He has the authority to do it. Because, like, who's going to question him on it? It's like, nope, you are being given the keys to the kingdom. Here you go. You want to ride thunder to work? Have a nice day. You want to cut Russell Wilson? We can do it week 2. Like, they'll rock and roll with it.
Yeah. Terry Bradshaw, I see in the comments, he had cancer this last year. I believe he is in remission. But, like, I don't know. I think because we did one of our episodes in the last week or so was like nobody wants to coach Kyler Murray, and it's become like a narrative out there. And I think if you're looking at Kyler Murray, the issue if you're a head coach is it doesn't seem like he seems less coachable. Russell Wilson seems coachable, but it seems like no matter what you do, he's going to play the same. So you've got to coach to his strengths. You know what I mean? Like Russ seems like the guy's like, yeah, I can do that. And then you try to do it and he can't do it. Kyler seems more like, I don't really want to do that. But if you're a head coach, and this is what I wouldn't understand about either of those scenarios. If you're a head coach, like Sean Payton didn't have to take a job this year. He could have been very patient and waited another year. So if he didn't want to coach either of those guys, why would you come back in and like, I know the money is probably crazy,
Sure,
but why would you come back in and do it when you could have just taken another easy year in the Fox broadcast booth and waited to coach the guy you possibly wanted to coach in old Justin Herbert next offseason?
Or, I mean, like, maybe he could have gone to the Cowboys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that there would have been more options open, but
I think it's more like those guys there would be a challenge there for Sean Payton, but I think Terry's talking a little shit. I really think so.
But I think also at the same time, like you and I have talked, like, look at what the Cardinals are right now. They are such in a weird limbo, have an expensive QB who's not going to be around because of injury. Like there's people leave, like it's just not a great football team right now. And then you have the Broncos who have a very good defense, like a very, very good defense. And then the offense, they don't have anyone to run it. Like that's the ultimate problem, right? Is that you saw a little bit at the end and Nathaniel Hackett came in and it just did not work out. It was just the combination of Russ not playing well and Hackett not playing well. And also you had a cajillion injuries across the line, running back, etc. So it's basically trying to fix a defunct offense rather than going to Arizona and fixing a lot more than just that. Right? Because you can make moves as a Bronco. Like if you're coaching, which he's coaching the Broncos, you can make moves next year, right? Because you have your draft picks next year, right? For the following year. So 2024. So like if you suck this year, okay, then like you go get your franchise QB, like have a nice day.
Yeah.
Like, we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah. And what Sean Payton has said all along is that ownership was really important to him in the decision-making process. Like Sean Payton is a corporate dude. And the Broncos having ownership that has a ton of money was very appealing to Sean Payton. For better or worse,
I do like
he was willing to go to the Broncos because he likes Walmart's money. He likes Greg Pinner, the whole group. And I think a lot of people think George Payton is kind of on the outside looking in, but I think Sean Payton likes George Payton, and I think what George Payton offers is great experience in the scouting department and has a great eye for young talent. And he also said the Broncos are going to be aggressive in free agency, so that was not something like we were expecting. They do have cap room, and they can create a good amount of cap room with some moves. But if the Broncos are aggressive in free agency on top of getting Sean Payton, then I'll be excited again. I'll be ready to be hurt 100% again, Tom.
So here's actually a great question. Is signing Sean Payton more of a George Payton move, or is that the ownership? I think it's ownership, yeah?
Yeah, it's ownership.
It's ownership. Like, so even if Sean
I think the ownership's establishing like a new how they want things to run. And correct. I don't think given George Payton hired Nathaniel Hackett and brings in Russ for, a lot of compensation, that's kind of looming over him. But everything else George Payton has done, I feel like has been very good. And so maybe ownership's like, we'll handle the coach and contracts and, who we want to bring in.
You scout.
It's draft and managing the team. There's like, all those relationships can be different. But if they're harmonious, you're in a good spot. We'll see if that's true moving forward.
I think someone would ask if like the GM gets fired this year. The only way I think that happens is if Sean Payton is god awful. Even I don't think because it's not going to be on. That's
Russ,
why I
if
asked.
Russ is really bad again, then there's a chance that Georgie could be gone.
Because he's on the hook for Hackett
Yeah.
and Wilson. So
yeah. Like if Sean Payton comes in and he can't get Russell Wilson to play respectable football at the QB position, then I think George's job's in question. But apparently, like Drew Brees helped convince Sean Payton that Russ would be worth taking a chance on with Denver. So
but it's just like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like it's if Russell Wilson works out, cool. Because I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm not a Broncos fan, but like being in tune with it, I feel like you're already at the point where like there was all this hype. Oh my God, he's going to save the team. It's going to be so great. And then last year happened. And you're like, okay, well, now I'm not really optimistic about it. If he does well, great, wonderful. Like, I'd be happy to see that. But if he doesn't, okay, we'll cut ties. Like, I feel like Russell Wilson at this point is expendable. I know he's going to cost a lot of money. I know, like, he's going to do that, but I mean, Broncos fans have already been there, though. I mean, we've been around the QB carousel, so it really doesn't matter.
It's like a really bad cap hit for like one season. So, and if he's really bad, you'll be drafting somebody.
Exactly. So, like, and you'll get a cheap, contract, and that's it. So, I think it's just Sean Payton walked into one of the best situations that isn't the Chargers, where like he probably really wanted to go, but he went into a situation where he could be like, I can literally mold this team around whatever I want it to be, starting kind of this season, but more next season if Russ sucks.
Yeah. And what he kind of alluded, his press conference was very long, but one of the things he alluded to was like, working in TV/retirement is boring, and he missed coaching. So hopefully him coming back means like he wants to coach until like he can't anymore. Because like him leaving the Saints, like one of the questions I had was like, does he really want to coach?
Mm-hmm.
But I think he does. I think he got a little taste of it, and I hope it works. I hope it works.
I hope it makes Drew Brees.
Drew Brees and Peyton. Brees is the QB coach. Peyton Manning is the OC. Oh my God! Give us all the sexy moves.
That would be fun. I'd watch that. That would be fun.
Here's the thing. The style of offense Sean Payton ran with Drew Brees is going to be very different than what he can do with Russell Wilson. So, we'll see. We'll see.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, it's QB and coach. Like, I mean, that it does weigh heavily. I mean, just like with Goody, right? If this thing with Jordan Love blows up in his face, like, let's just say they wind up trading Aaron Rodgers and, well, let me back up a tiny bit. If they did that last year after his back-to-back MVP years and then Love sucked, that would not have been good, because Goody has had some very big hit or misses when it comes to the draft. He's drafted some really well, and then he's had some where he's just missed guys, especially the third round. But like with Love, like that's the big thing that he's always going to be kind of connected to. And you've seen for the past couple of years, people are already calling for Goody. So, QB is important.
Yeah.
Evero? Yes, Evero's very good.
It's Evero with a V, but yeah, he's good. That Evero, real good.
Evero? Oh, yes.
Yeah. He's my bro. Sucks to lose it. Sucks to lose a Giro Evero.
But I do think that the Broncos are in a situation where, like, if you suck this year, it's only got to be for one more year until you really can kind of see the vision that Sean Payton wants to, like, enact and instill in Denver.
Yeah.
So that's good, right? So maybe only one more year, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
So I know you just want to be happy. You were happy last offseason.
Static.
That was nice, right? For a little bit.
Never be able to be happy during an offseason again.
Yeah. So Steve Wilkes, that's the other major move that happened yesterday. I love that move.
Oh, yeah.
Because they lost D'Amico Ryans, and I thought that's a good pickup for the Texans. Again, I think they could have rocked with Lovie Smith, but I think D'Amico Ryans should be a better coach. And I think definitely as a future there. I think that Lovie Smith was hired as a stopgap. And then with Wilkes, I've wanted him to succeed. I would not have complained if Wilkes stayed in Carolina, but I understand why they brought in Frank Reich. And I think him going to the 49ers is definitely a good move for the organization. So, yeah. Listen, we got one more big game.
Almost
Don't worry.
over. One more game, which we will be previewing Friday.
Be a whole Super Bowl episode.
Yes. All right, Tom, what do you got coming out today?
I got predictions coming out today.
Nice.
So Super Bowl predictions, last predictions of the year. Gonna rock and roll, and I decide on a theme. Johnny Barks. It's gonna be Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul memes the entire episode.
Ooh. No, I will not give you Baron Browning. He's the only edge rusher we have left.
So yeah,
Randy Gregory doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned.
That's gonna be fun.
He's a myth.
Perna, what you got coming up?
I will probably have a short, but I posted a video yesterday. It's my Super Bowl prediction, but it's how the rigged NFL will script the Super Bowl.
Nice.
And I revealed some very shocking things.
Well, folks, we appreciate you tuning in a little bit early. We'll be back on Friday to break down everything Super Bowl that is coming at your fotches. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. That is Brandon Perna. This is GPS. And you've been navigated.
And you've reached your destination, which for Derek Carr is Bourbon Street. Can Derek Carr survive Bourbon Street?